Just continuing on, doing my edit. So there's that. There's cam 2 and cam 1. Okay. Went ahead and stripped silence on Sean's track because that was the one that was echoing really bad.
We have to like man.
Strip this one. This is the main focus of getting rid of audio bleed. And you can see, even in mine, if there's background.
Manage these triangles over each other. And Luther lies to Ripley.
I always hate when I strip because that's the tail of the tape in who contributed and who didn't as much. A lot of times I'll look and see when I was doing editing for other shows that I was a part of and that I was doing the editing on, I would often see how much Gemma, really? I would see kind of if I got super talked over or I barely got a word in edgewise and it would come up like ridiculous. It would be like all one person and another person and like I would have uh, like Eric actually had quite a bit to say and I always feel bad when people get talked over or I know they have stuff to say. I mean, because they wouldn't be on the show if they didn't, and they have like very very small parts to be able to contribute. I always like it to be, in my mind, a good podcast is equal, and so that's kind of a clutch point for me. So I always like to kind of look at the timeline fully because that really shows you graphically what's going on. Now, in this particular case, like Devin kind of is spearheading this movement, so I expect him to have the fill in or the pieces that when no one's talking. And so I like to look at who's doing what and when. This also gives me a good indicator once I strip the silence out of where there are silent points. And I know in this show particularly there were some dead points, points at which no one was talking because they were kind of waiting for someone else to say something. And I was specifically, and especially in these couple episodes that I've been working on, it's real easy for me to bulldog my way onto a show, onto a track, and say something. And I think some of these other people have interesting things to say, and I want them to be heard. I mean, it's a fucking podcast for Pete's sake. I mean, come on. And so I specifically don't say anything to let the conversation kind of happen. And sometimes when that happens, they're expecting me to, say something, and I don't. I like to let the conversation breathe and let voices be heard, which is a hard thing sometimes for people to get around.
It felt like Seven in a way with the arrangement of things.
So that's what I'm working on right now. And so when I start to gather it up and I start to look at big chunks here, and I'll zoom in, come down, and sometimes those breather points are good. What's up? Oh, you made a change? Oh, you got watermelons?
I got a watermelon one, and then these shorts are also new. Sorry, I thought you were like doing the podcast. I was like, oh jeez.
No, I'm just streaming what I'm doing.
And so I got these shorts, and then this shirt.
I like it.
I was telling Bella and Hannah what I got, and they're like, so you got a onesie. And then, because they knew what it was, but they were like, it's a onesie. And then Hannah was all, so you're a baby again? It was really funny.
In a sense. It was the same kind of thing we used to put on you when you were a baby.
Yeah, the little clippies.
Yeah.
But they're so soft.
Well, that's good.
I'll eat.
That was my daughter coming in, and I will often stop what I'm doing, making sure that I'm being a good dad. So, in this particular case where I got big gaps in here, I'm going to go Command F or Shift F. In Logic, it's a little bit oddball. Spinning wheel. Sometimes if it's too close, the playhead's too close to a track or audio that's behind the playhead, it'll select all of it, and I don't want that. What I want to do is select forward. I want to select audio ahead. Just try that again. There we go. Now, the stuff that's not selected, I can just shift and actually touch. Of course, I've got a spinning ball, so what are you going to do with that? It's kind of the nature of the beast. And I know that's garbage right there, but I'm going to take it just in case. Because sometimes having a little bit of a natural breather or natural sound is not terrible. You can overproduce the fuck out of a podcast, and it, you know, it's like that YouTube way where you are editing really hard cuts on audio to make the punch, so there's no real lag time. That's not bad, but it's not something that I necessarily agree with. So what I did was I took all those tracks and all those little bits and pieces that are about an hour down the line, and I just bring them in.
In episode 4, it felt like 7 in a way with the arrangement of things.
It's a little abrupt, but I'm gonna hold on to it for right now. And I know it's gonna be kind of weird. You hear my voice in the track and then I talk, but you know, because you're seeing me, it should be a little different. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm using a little gray version of Logic, and so it kind of hangs every now and again. I've used the newest version of Logic, and I've noticed that my lag between doing things doesn't exist as much. Alright, so some of these little blips and bloops, sounds that got caught outside of the stripping of silence, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get rid of as I'm working and see how that sounds.
In episode 4, it felt like 7 in a way with...
That's a little bit better. And as you can see, I don't know how I got that. That's a subtrack, but that's not what I want. And so I'll come over here, Shift F. this is absolutely compelling video. Editing's not a compelling sport. Not all the time. But if you have a way of focusing your mind on it, it can be very interesting.
Scenes with them.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it might be like some kind of like cult.
So there's a nice little out to next voice instead of making it such a harsh, basically what you would call it would be a cut to the next scene. But in audio, you have to kind of give things breathing room. No one talks normally. Like if you watch Philip DeFranco, for example, there's very little lag between the next word and the next sentence. It's very abrupt. Not something that, as an editor, I don't really get behind very well.
Tarot card kind of thing, but some kind of like deliberate, like, occult kind of practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, like in this particular case, Jason was thinking about what he was talking about, and so we got to give him. He was, deep in thought for this, almost 1-2 seconds. So we're gonna kind of give him a little bit of. We're gonna edit him down just a little bit. And of course it'll go spinning wheel. Ridiculous. But now I have this garbage right here, which is probably him breathing in. I'm gonna go ahead and just overwrite that. And realize I'm grabbing an hour's worth of audio, so I'll accept a little bit of spinning wheel. It's got to move a lot of pieces, probably somewhere in the realm of 4,000 little snippets of audio. That's a lot.
Kind of like a, not tarot card kind of thing, but some kind of like deliberate, like, occult kind of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly,
Yeah, from it.
maybe because
Okay, this is a question of where I came in and bulldogged my way because I thought no one was going to talk. So what I do is eliminate myself. And this happens even with other people in the show. You don't know when someone's going to talk, especially when you have that many people. So it's kind of clutch to go ahead and remove those little inconsistencies because everybody's going to be polite, but for the listener, it's chaotic. It's not something anybody wants to hear.
Practice.
Mm-hmm.
and mainly,
Yeah, from it.
maybe because I'm a true detective.
Okay, so Sean really had more to say, and we all gave him latitude. So what I'll do is I'm going to eliminate myself doing the Merlin man, and Jason, and just get rid of it. It doesn't need to be there. It doesn't make any sense because we're not going to hear any of us. Zap. That's a lot of times what I try to think about is, as a listener of podcasts, what makes a little bit more sense. So you're not hearing chaos. Chaos is okay in certain realms, but when you're doing a back and forth and people are stamping on each other, if you have the ability to eliminate it and you have the time to edit it, why not? And when your name's on it, it's worth getting rid of. So now we have
Occult kind of practice.
Maybe because I'm a true detective fan. I kind of was nonplussed by this. Like okay, yep.
Okay. Sean also has he'll space out what he says. And so we've got Devin over here. He's going to ask him a question like, explain.
Why is that?
Right. I remember that just because I was there. So I'm going to end up kind of condensing some of this stuff. And that's what I'm going to be working on for a little bit. And I know this is arduous for anyone to actually check out. So, you know, again, if you're not an editor, you don't care about this at all. And plus, there are literally 0 people actually watching right now. So, again, the life of an editor. What are you going to do? So I will leave it at that. Oh, now there's 1 viewer. Okay, bam. Great. Okay, so I will punch out, and I will talk to you later.